It's time to turn your life-challenging moments into life-changing messages. Welcome to the Power Lift Stories podcast, where we are interviewing women whose stories will leave you lifted up, fired up, and fueled up with hope, courage, and inspiration. We want to thank our sponsor, Powerful Journey, who helps women tell their stories, write their books, and building a profitable brand around both. Join the Masterclass or the Speakers Academy at phyllisjenkins.com. That is PHYLLISJENKINS.com. Now here's your host, Phyllis Jenkins.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. And we are super excited this week. I have a very special guest today, one who has been with me for a good little while now. Her name is Vallot-Baskin. Lori is my assistant with the Powerful Journey organization. But before that, she went through the Speakers Academy, the Authors Academy. She stood on stage and she shared her story. And she is now an author twice, 2 times over. She is an author, but not just an author. Lori is a mother, a wife. Let me reverse that. She is a wife. She is a mother of 2. And she, as I mentioned, is an author. But more than that, Lori is a child of the Most High God, and she is a Jesus follower who loves him. And Lori, I want to have you now to just share a little bit more about you, and then we'll move right into our interview.
Thank you, Phyllis, for such a great introduction. So if you don't know or if you have not heard, I am Miss On Fire to Inspire, Lori Vallot-Baskin. Phyllis gave some really great words about me. In addition to being an author, I'm also a speaker and a brand strategist, and also an etiquette coach. And so I've been afforded these opportunities to grace stages and platforms and podcasts as well. I'm a fan of alliteration, so that's why I threw those back-to-back P's in there. And so Phyllis mentioned that I'm an author. So 2 times. My first book is Woman, Warrior, Witness, Wife. And also, thank you, Phyllis, for showing. And also 40-ish New You Renewed Mindset. And again, I've been afforded some great opportunities all through our almighty and all-powerful God. So I believe that a man's gifts will make room for him and bring him before the great. If you have not already, this is Proverbs 18:15-16. And so put a little pin in that scripture, because that's why I'm here tonight. I am here before the great. I am in the virtual presence of greatness. And so with that, Phyllis, please proceed with the questions.
Absolutely. So Lori, you are an author of 2 books, and the Woman Warrior Witness is your first book, and that is the book that you presented and launched at the Powerful Journey Women's Conference. And I just want to ask you to share with our audience, what was your why of telling your story and writing this particular book?
Thank you, Phyllis. Great question. So my why, we all have a story. And so I'm sure if you're a fan of Phyllis's podcast, if you are just tuning in, or if you've been with us through each episode, then you know that each of us has a story. And so my why was to get that story out. And so you can see here that I call myself a woman, a warrior, a witness, and a wife. And so those are essentially 4 stages of my life that I've experienced and I was able to speak from, but not just myself. I brought other women along with me on that journey to also tell a little bit about their stories and how they fit into either the category of woman, warrior, witness, or wife. And so woman, that one's pretty simple. You can see kind of, a lady, a woman, right? And then the warrior mode came from as a young girl having to survive and overcome a domestic violence relationship. And then we get into so we've got woman, warrior, witness. And so after overcoming, I've been able to witness to others. It was a story that I never really intended to share, to be quite honest. But whenever I met Phyllis and shared some things that could be considered stories of my own, she told me that this was the one. And so I shared that story on her stage in Plano, Texas. And then from there, the Lord moved within me to write a book and to be able to share it there. So that way we would put it out for others who were not able to attend the conferences, who did not hear the message live or recorded, that they would have an opportunity to read about it and see what overcoming and triumph looks like on the other side of that type of relationship. And then the beauty of it all comes together whenever I met my Prince Charming, my husband, Mr. Vallot-Baskin, and he took me from that warrior mentality and made me a wife. And so that was a great part for me to be able to share with the world. So that's essentially my why, to make sure that we get out what that story is, because that story was not for me. It is for others.
Absolutely. It was for others. And let me just share with you that as Lori stood on stage and shared her powerful message, there was a woman who sat in that audience, and she sat on the edge of her seat the entire time that Lori was talking and sharing her message. And this woman was so moved to action by what Lori said, that she went back home and got out of an abusive marriage, one that her daughters had been concerned that that she could have lost her life. So when Lori stands and when I tell you that your story matters, your story does matter. And not only that, Lori, I remember that there was a woman in the audience who approached you after the conference and invited you to come to speak to her organization. So again, your story matters. It is not just for you, it is for others, so that you can help to help someone else who is going through the exact same thing that God has brought you through. So Lori, thank you so much for sharing that. And as we move on in our interview, and you did stand on the Powerful Journey stage, you shared your message, and you did have at the end of it a standing ovation, those who were clapping, those who were wiping tears as you spoke. And after the conference was over and everyone walked away to go back to their homes, and you prepared to go to your home, what are 3 lessons that you hope that everyone walked away with?
Very good question, Phyllis. So in my messages, every time I would wrap up, the call to action was essentially, if you see something, say something. There are some very powerful statistics whenever it comes to domestic violence, but not just in general, but whenever it comes to African American women in particular. And if we take a broader step for women, there are some very staggering statistics. And so what my hope has always been is that if anyone reads my book, if they hear me speak, that they see something, they say something, and that could be either for themselves or it could be for someone else. Very often we don't want to pry in someone else's business, but sometimes that prying is what's needed, because we carry around a lot of baggage and we think that there's a facade that's up that other people may not be able to see exactly what it is that we might be going through. But if you look deep enough, you'll be able to see and have an opportunity to be able to reach someone. So that's one thing that I've always asked, and as a call to action, is that you see something, you say something. And then it is my hope that for someone to see and hear me share my story, that they would be so convicted, so compelled, so inspired to be able to do the exact same thing, that they will come forth and that they will allow whatever that message is that God has placed inside of them for them to share with others, that they will do it and not take it with them. Phyllis, you are a staunch advocate of saying, don't take that message with you, right? Put that message out there. And so I want people to, whether it's women or men, or even children, if they somehow get a hold of this message, to, if there's a story for them to share, for them to tell, that they put it out there, and whatever the platform is, whatever the vehicle is, that it can reach who it is intended to reach. So I'm a true believer of, if I touch just one person every time that I speak, that I've done what it is that the Lord has set out for me to do. And so on the third thing, is that I hope that they have been inspired, not just to be able to see something or say something or to share their stories, but that they have just been inspired by what it is that I've said, what it is that I've done, and the courage that it takes to be able to come forward and share such a message.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Lori, for those who are watching or listening and they want to have you come and to speak to their organization or their churches, or they want to connect with you and get your books, and we only mentioned the one book, I need you to quickly talk about the second book, and then we will tell them how they can connect with you.
Thank you, Phyllis. So the second book is 40ish, New You, Renewed Mindset. And as you can guess, this book was a brainchild as I turned 40. And so that was a couple of years ago, we'll say. And so at that moment, whenever it is a turnover or that type of milestone age, I thought that it would be appropriate to be able to share what my mindset was like. So where I've come from to where I am or where I was at that particular time. And that book still keeps me going even to this day. And Phyllis, I'm again a true believer of bringing others on with me. And so I did not write that book alone. I also had some other women to come alongside me. And the way that we took this particular approach is a very unique approach, is we wrote the book with positive words that start with the letter F. So F is in Frank. So F for 40ish. And so we used positive words, friendship, and some other things. And we had ladies to come along. We gave definitions of those words, and then we wrote some stories behind them as well, and how those words apply to our lives. And so it's a very unique book. So whenever you have an opportunity, I do recommend that you pick it up. I've had people ask, well, it's 40ish. So I'm 50, I'm 60, I'm 70, I'm 30, or even I'm 20. But you've either been 40, you will be 40, and if you are 40, certainly a great message for you to read as well.
Great. And how can they purchase the books, and how can they connect with you, Lori?
Those books are available on Amazon. And so if you just search for the titles, Woman, Warrior, Witness, Wife, or 40ish, New You, Renewed Mindset, or if you can't remember all of that, if you just look for Lori Vallot-Baskin, you'll find me out there on Amazon, and you can purchase the books that way. We certainly appreciate your support. But if you'd like to learn a little bit more about me and visit my blog, you can see some other information, and that is going to be on www.onfire2inspire. So www.onfire2inspire.wordpress.com. Now, quick message, that is a very long website. And so you will learn from Phyllis at some point that there is a tip to and a trick to having a different type of website domain. So www.onfire2inspire.wordpress.com. www.onfire2inspire.wordpress.com. There we go.
Great. We will have all of Lori's information in the show notes below so that you can purchase the books, and so that you can reach out and connect with Lori. Lori, thank you so much for being here today, sharing your powerful message. And we just appreciate you. You know that I've grown to love you as a sister in Christ and as my assistant for all of these years. You have absolutely been very valuable to the powerful journey. And for that, we are grateful. Thank you again for being with us today, Lori.
Thank you, Phyllis. An honor and a pleasure. And I leave you now the great. Again, I said that I was coming before the great this evening, and you are. And so I appreciate you. And thank you again, Phyllis, for the opportunity.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. If you are interested in being on the show, go to phyllisjenkins.com. You can also sign up for the Powerful Journey Masterclass or the Speakers Academy at phyllisjenkins.com.